All right, let's do it. Welcome to another episode of the Rap Thought Podcast, brought to you by Matthew and Brandon. Bars. Didn't do that on purpose though.
And this week we are doing Jean Grae's album.
This week,
like
literally, we're doing This Week by Jean Grae. This week, so having some fun with that. Jean Grae.
Before that, I want to thank all of our listeners out there. Thanks for tuning in on Spotify, Apple, Stitcher, Google, YouTube, wherever you listen to our podcasts at. Thanks for tuning in. We appreciate it.
We see you guys out there. Definitely been a lot more listens in the last couple weeks.
Yeah.
So we hear it.
Yeah, and one thing I do want to say is, being on Twitter, and you've been going on Twitter more recently, is there's this thing called hip hop Twitter, and it's all about comparing and making lists and shitting on one artist and saying this artist better and whatever. It's that whole thing, and I just want to make a point that we, as the Rap Thought Podcast, our MO is to do the opposite. We don't want to compare. We don't want to make lists. We want to just give our thoughts on an artist and an album and kind of go through what the artist is trying to put out there. You know what I mean? And I think that needs to be said, is we're not trying to just review albums and say, oh, this album's better than this album, or this artist deserves to be on this list. It's like, who cares? Like, everyone's doing that now. It's kind of over and done with.
Yeah, I mean, I'd like to, I'm not shit on an album that's
right. No, there's nothing wrong with giving your opinion, your honest opinion on something, but it just gets redundant when everyone's making lists and comparing and contrasting.
Yeah, we're not here to rank. We're here to listen to some music and give what we thought.
And I think what's dope is a lot of the albums that we've done, I've never listened to, or I've never listened to in depth, so I get a lot new meaning behind it, and that gives me a lot more perspective on hip hop in general, and just really taking a deep dive into what the artist is trying to say in their music.
I'm starting to think of this pod as more of me learning more about hip hop, and everyone else is just along for the ride.
Right. We do the hard work for you. We do the research and we do the homework, and then we explain it to you.
Yeah, we're like Spark Notes.
But at the same time, we want you to listen to these albums and come up with your own thoughts and your own perspective on it.
Yeah, just like with last week with the XXL magazine. Be cool to see, as Matt had mentioned, it'd be cool to see what people thought. No, this person should be on there. Would be my class that I would propose. So
right.
Looking forward to seeing something like that.
Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we're doing Jean Grae. This is our second female artist that we've done an album for. The first one was Queen Latifah.
You get those numbers up.
Yeah, no, the albums are chosen at random. So if it seems like we are focusing on male artists, that's not the case. Just the females number hasn't come up as often. But yeah, I'm excited. I really enjoy listening to female MCs, and I've known about Jean Grae for quite some time, but this is the first time I've listened to one of her albums in depth.
She's not very mainstream at all. How did you find out about her?
Probably from a feature. She's probably featured on another rapper that I really like and really dug it. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember hearing a few of her songs that, were not her popular songs, but her more well-known songs. And I did listen to her album with Blue Sky Black Death, their production duo. They did an album with Jean Grae called Evil Genius, and it was kind of an unofficial album. I think there was some shit behind the scenes where Jean Grae didn't really approve of it. And they put it out anyway. But it's a really dope album, either way. Her storytelling on that is amazing, and her raps and her rhymes. And I always thought that was a really dope album, but I never really felt motivated to really dive into her discography like that. And I don't know why, because I always thought she was super dope. And whenever I heard her on features, I was always amazed. Like the feature she has on Pharoah Monch's album, I think War, with Black Thought and Royce the 5'9". I think it's called Black Assassins or something like that.
Yeah, I'm not sure.
But she has a dope feature on that. And the feature, didn't she do a song with Immortal Technique? She might have.
I haven't listened to a whole lot of Mortal Technique, and I think he's on the list, so I'm looking forward to that one. But I'm trying to remember, because you said Evil Genius, and when I got into Jean Grae because of Talib Kweli when I was first trying to get into some deeper hip hop. He was the first one I stumbled across, then Mos Def, a little bit of Common. I only got to B, and then I kind of moved on from him. But she's featured on a lot of Kweli's music, and I think he had signed her to his Blacksmith label. And Evil Genius, I can't remember if it's that one or a different one, but it kind of takes the same. It's a red covered album, and it kind of has the same picture as for Cuban Links by Raekwon. And so that's kind of the cover. But I remember with let's say that was Evil Genius. There's a lot of tracks. There's a couple tracks that are on there that were also on This Week, which is what we're looking at. Gotcha. And so I remember Fireblaze was on the other one, and I think there's another one on there. And so I remember, because I got both of those albums at the same time, and I remember being confused, like, why is this sharing some of the music from this album that came out years beforehand? But I remember being, I was really impressed by her lyricism, by her flow. I liked her voice. I was like, this is cool. I don't have a library of female artists to listen to. So I thought that was cool. I think I started listening to her and Queen Latifah around the same time. But that's all that I had. There's not really too many on the map. MC Lyte is a little too old for my liking and that style.
Yeah, I think around the time Jean Grae was really popping off in, the early 2000s. This album came out in 2004. And there weren't a lot of other female MCs at that time. You know what I mean? Especially on a mainstream level. This is before Nicki Minaj. This is during Lil Kim's reign, but
around then you also had Eve.
You had Eve.
You had Lil Kim.
You had Eve. You had Missy Elliott. But I put them in a different category. They're almost like pop artists. They transcended. They're different than Jean Grae. I feel like Jean Grae is a hardcore lyricist. I wouldn't put Missy Elliott in that same category.
No, she's not in there.
And that's not to take away from Missy Elliott. Missy Elliott's amazing.
She has her own lane though. But like if we're talking lyricism, and then you kind of have to go into male artists because they dominate the field. So, if you're looking for someone, I don't know. I'm trying to think of 2004 at that time, like who was.
Yeah, I'm not even sure.
Jay-Z was around then. So let's just say Jay-Z. Like if you're looking for someone that has some form of substance, if you're looking for Nas, the Jay-Z's, the Ghostface, there are no female artists that are on that game at all. So like there's Eve. Maybe I have to throw her on the list too. But I can't really say. She more comes to me as like not pop, but mainstream.
Right. And I'm sure there's female MCs that we're not mentioning that we're not aware of, that were just out at that time.
Yeah. But with that, on that note though, like Jean Grae is someone who I felt like is what I was looking for, felt that, was in that definition. So I was happy to have found her. But she was cool. We got into a couple albums. Actually, just those two, because those are the only two at the time. Yeah,
Jean Grae has had an interesting career. It's definitely not been the smoothest, and I feel like it's been a lot of ups and downs. And I feel like she never really got her stride. She never caught a stride of putting out music that caught attention. And she, from what I understand and from what I've gathered from following her on social media, is that there was a long period of time where she quit doing music and she was focused on other things. She's a writer and she was writing for TV shows and doing other mediums. So she wrote on the sitcom Two Broke Girls. It was on CBS.
So that's the one with the...
Yeah, so she was doing... I think she was focused on other things. I think she became disheartened by the music industry. Kind of wanted to move into a different direction, which makes sense. I mean, she's super talented. She shouldn't limit herself to just music, but yeah, she's an amazing writer. I'll definitely say that.
Yeah, I mean, you see her lyrics and she's great.
But yeah, this is the first, besides Evil Genius, this is the first album of hers that I've, for this podcast, definitely paid attention to every song and every lyric that she was spitting and tried to, take a deeper dive into.
She kind of, it's almost asking you to, because when you read things online about her, they say that like her lyrics are very in depth and you kind of have to go back on them. So you kind of, you have to.
Yeah, you definitely catch a lot of things. I do want to mention that she put out an album with Quelle Chris in 2018.
Who she's now married to, I believe.
Yeah, it's called Everything's Fine. I did listen to it when it came out. It's a super dope album. Quelle Chris is super dope. But I think I should definitely revisit that album because I think I only listened to it a few times and I liked it, but I didn't really revisit it. So maybe after listening to this, I should go back and see where she's at presently.
Yeah, like 16 years later, that'd be cool.
Yeah. So yeah, it's she seems kind of you don't know much about her, you know what I mean? Like she's not out there like that. I think she keeps a low profile.
She mentions that one of her tracks of like, you only know as much as I'm willing to give you, basically. And I was like, oh, okay, that's cool. Like, because if you Google her album, on Wikipedia, there's nothing on there about it.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find information about her. So yeah, let's get into the album.
Yeah, let's hop in it. I kind of want to give some pre-thoughts before we jump in.
Okay.
I think when I first discovered, I was really excited because I was like, hey, I found someone that no one's talking about, but is also really good. And I was super stoked to have that. But then as I kind of listen now, in 2020, I'm noticing, because I was looking pretty deep into here, and I thought that there was a lot of filler. And but when she goes in on a subject, maybe it's just being on that wavelength. When I'm on it, I'm like, man, I really like how she describes the stuff. I love the imagery. I love how she goes in detail. But then there's a lot of tracks where I'm just like, I'm really searching for what you're trying to do, but it's just taking me. It's not taking me anywhere. I'm not picking up a lot of it. So just kind of a disclaimer for a couple of these songs, like there may. I'm not going to say little to no thoughts, but there's just like I was really digging and I didn't pull anything out from that.
Right.
So, but we'll see.
I felt the same way as you.
Okay.
I don't know if I want to say this now or save it for later. This album, it's a dope hip hop album. There's a lot of great rapping on it. I agree with you. There's a lot of filler. It made me feel as if a lot of these songs were just thrown onto the album. It was a little disconjointed. It wasn't a fully thought through concept or anything like that. It was just, okay, we got this dope song, let's put it on the album.
Did you get a concept for this week?
Not really. I mean, there's a lot of skits on here, and it seems as if she's trying to pull something together and have a thread go through all the songs. But towards the end is when it kind of falls apart. If there was a concept or anything, because the last few tracks are just rapping, barring out.
Okay, I mean, I think that's good. We definitely don't have to go too in depth yet, but I mean, I think it's kind of good things to point out and like my thoughts going into as I talk about these songs. I did notice in some of the skits, and I think one or two tracks, it's like, oh man, and it's only Tuesday, or now it's Wednesday, and then before the end of the album, she says, well, that's the end of the week. And it's like, but we still got 4 tracks left. So some thoughts going in, but we can jump in and build up to what we were talking about. So we have our intro, just kind of getting this into the album.
Yeah, she comes in. There's a guy, I'm not sure who the guy is, Rudy Rock. He's introing Jean Grae for us. And almost like bringing her on stage, hyping her up, and then she comes in swinging. She comes in barring out and hitting hard, and it's a dope beat. I think it's a cool intro for just bring you into the album. What it's going to be like.
There's some beats like this where I'm not liking it, but then there's something in the background that pulls me, and I'm like, okay, this isn't bad.
Yeah. I do feel as if a lot of these beats sound very 2004. You know what I mean? They sound pretty dated, but they're dope. They're dope beats, but you can tell they're made in 2004. As opposed to, I'm always going to go back to Tribe Called Quest. Their production, even from Midnight Marauders in the early 90s, sounds as if it could come out today. Like, it just has that timeless sound to it. These beats sound like early 2000s. It doesn't mean I don't like them, but yeah, you can tell this was made in 2004.
Yeah, I think that's what it is that it doesn't sound well today.
Right.
And this was specifically for 2004. But
right.
It's not the worst beat.
No. I enjoyed all the beats, but none of them sound timeless to me. None of them transcend. Maybe a few of the Ninth Wonder beats, but none of them I don't think would come out today and people would really dig the sound.
So, yeah, that's the intro. So she kind of comes in, she gets us, hyped up, spitting. She got bars and everything. It's kind of like, okay, I'm cool. I'm ready to hear this for the rest of the album. And then we transition to A-alikes. And A-alikes is when, when you have a similarity with someone, when you're kind of share a lot of characteristics with somebody. And the first note that I put down was that I'm actually not quite understanding what this track is, or who it's directed at, or who it's about. So I like some of the stuff that she says, where she's basically trying to hone her craft. She has this golden pen that she writes with, which kind of reflects honesty and truth and everything. She's here to expose fake people or false people, which you hear about in hip hop all the time. Like, oh, fake MCs, fuck them. I'm all about, bringing them truth. She doesn't give it into drama. She moves forward. She goes deep for a second about drinking her thoughts away, but staying vigilant and trying to work things through. And it was kind of cool because, it's like I said, I'm not seeing the direction of the song, but it's an element that gets mentioned a few more times throughout the album.
Right.
So with that, I was okay, but that's not until you get to the end of the album and then come back and listen to it a couple more times.
I think this is just another just barring out song. There's a lot of dope lines in here. It's just her talking her shit and letting everyone know that she should be respected like all the other male MCs. And yeah, she's saying some crazy shit on here. She says, splash jagged, shrapnel slap in your jaw. I'm like Bill's wife, packing a sword. You must be out of your gourd. The girl's insane, but I told you before. And
you know that reference?
Yeah, Kill Bill.
Yeah.
So I love, like you mentioned, she has really great imagery in her lyrics. And she's pretty violent with her lyrics, but it's almost comical in a sense. Like, I get the sense of a comic book when she's saying these types of rhymes.
Which is her
name's Jean Grae from X-Men. So it's very much like hyperbole and putting images in your mind. And she's great at rhyming, and she can put all these words together. Even if it is violent, it still keeps you interested.
Yeah, but I think that's a good way of putting that. Like, just throughout the album, she does that. But it's almost like filling your head with these images that don't really relate to the song, or they don't relate to the next thing that she's talking about.
Right.
So that's where I kind of was like, where's
it's a little
this
disjointed.
going?
Yeah. It's just, she's writing rhymes to write rhymes. You know what I mean?
That's what it feels like. I don't want to say that I don't want to put it in a way that she's writing rhymes just to like put them out there like, hey, I put words together, but more of like, I need a story behind this. I get that you're talented, but like, what do you got that point across, but what am I supposed to be getting from that? But
right.
Cuervo Loco was like portraying her, the alarm goes off, but she's still sleeping. And I don't know if that's important going into the next song, but
yeah, it seems as she this guy calls her to go to the club and she's sleeping, but then at the end of it, she kind of has a nightmare. And then we go into her having a nightmare.
Going crazy.
Going crazy.
So that's the thing too, is that like, is it a nightmare or is she describing anxiety and depression and things like that?
Right. Which would be also considered a nightmare, having those things.
That's really good imagery and description. Because, I mean, she talks about, she sets the tone of like being in this dark alley and there's just, my coworker says this thing like you do something, and then there it is, anxiety lurking in the corner, waiting to attack. And so using that phrase and what she's talking about, it's like relating it to this dark alleyway, and you don't know what to expect. You're just trying to get from point A to point B, and then all of a sudden, nowhere this dude just attacks you. But I really like that imagery that she uses, and I felt like I don't have anxiety, but I feel like that is, at least for explaining to someone on the outside of it, it's like, oh, that's really good. That makes a lot of sense, and that sounds
something
really
you
shit.
can connect with and have an understanding of.
Yeah. So I like that. But it makes it like she just really paints this anxious, scared kind of mixed with fight and flight kind of scene. And I really like that.
Yeah. Going Crazy is a super dope track. I think it reminded me of early Slim Shady with the beat and what she's rhyming about. Eminem could have rapped it, and you would have never known that it was a Jean Grae song.
I could see that. I feel like he's more surface, where like this one is like more in depth.
She's really opening up and getting vulnerable and talking about her insecurities and things like that.
Yeah.
And I love the lines, and I love how she relates stuff to movies and pop culture references. She says, "Man, I need help or counseling something. How about I Ed Norton it? Find a support group. Start fronting like I've been afflicted with sickness. Just witness some pain, get some sleep, and just maybe I'll kick this." And it's a reference to Fight Club.
Yeah.
With Ed Norton going to counseling and trying to figure out his mental state and what's going on.
But he finds his own way of therapy through fighting.
Yeah, and that helps him. And then the next line, she references The Matrix. And I just think it's a really clever way of portraying how she's feeling. Because we've all seen Fight Club, we've all seen The Matrix. We can relate to those things because we know what it's about, and she's applying it to her life. And how
but
feels.
I like that a lot. Like I just imagine these like agents just coming out of nowhere and just ready to go, and it's overwhelming. So she also talks about she doesn't like the dependency on pills and medication and stuff. And I thought that was really cool to talk about. There was a client that I worked with. He was very high functioning. He had an ASD diagnosis. And he'll tell you like he hates the medications. There's people from the outside that I remember talking to a pharmacist. She's like, yeah, like they make people feel normal and makes them feel better. But it's like after working with these kids, it's like they don't know what normal is. We don't know what normal is. Right. We're just viewing. We're assuming that because these medications are calming them down, that that's normal. But internally, they're feeling all these things of like not being themselves. One of the parents I worked with one time was like, I don't want my son on medication because he's not himself. Like, even if he is bouncing off of walls, that's his true, genuine self. And when he's on these medications, he's just like a zombie. So when she was talking about this, I was like, yeah, okay. Like, I've heard that quite a bit. And I've seen when someone's medicated and when someone's not. So I was like, yeah, I feel you. But yeah, she mentions their demons lurking in the corner. Just feels vulnerable. But I liked this song. I like the beat. I like what she's talking about. I like how she painted the picture.
The chorus. She does a pretty good job singing on the chorus and stuff. It sounds good. And then after this song, we go into Style Wars.
And that's where like that one was for me just like coming at people that don't take her seriously. And
yeah, for me, all I got in this was she was going hard raps, battle raps. The beats, like I said before, the beat's dope, but it sounds very, very early 2000s. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Could you hear that one playing at a dance though? In high school, we were in high school at that time, so.
Yeah, it was pretty reminiscent of the beats that were there. I don't know if they would play the song, but
Yeah, I don't think so either. But I'm kind of like,
Yeah.
like it goes hard, but I don't see people like dancing to it or anything.
she's just crazy. When she says, "I'm daft, punk. Stab you with a catheter with an open pen, then put the cap right back in you." She's just like, who comes up with this shit?
Yeah, no, she's sick.
I don't want to go out of line here, but I could see her being the female Slim Shady. You know what I mean? With the way that she rhymes and how crazy it is. It's not a lot of other female MCs doing that, let alone male MCs. Eminem was pretty much the first one to get that crazy with his lyrics.
I can see it, but I mean, I feel like she has her own lane. Like I'm looking.
She does. I'm just drawing a parallel between her imagery and her lyrics. It's similar to Eminem's.
Yeah,
early Eminem.
I can kind of see that. I guess like with him, I get a lot of like she's like serious, where he just like talking about drowning his wife and.
I'm sure some part of him is serious.
Yeah. Oh yeah. I guess so. But that's what we got. That's what I got. It sounds like we got the same thing for Star Wars.
Yeah.
It's just kind of a play on Star Wars. I just realized.
Yeah.
But just a difference of people and styles. So gotcha. Not like me. Almost. It doesn't build onto that. This one, I like her. She has a couple tracks on her album that deal with relationships and how men view, how she approaches men. And this is what I really like, is I'm not going to put this out there as like a universal thing, but my opinion. Like, I think of my lifetime and the female artists that have gone famous and painted a picture. And so, I think of like Foxy Brown and Lil' Kim, who were like the 90s version / early 2000s version of what we have in Megan Thee Stallion and Cardi B right now. Not as flamboyant, but they are with the times.
Yeah.
And so like, then there's Missy Elliott, who's kind of doing her own thing. She's not selling sex or anything like that. But as I said in the pod with Queen Latifah, I really like there's the embellished thing. Like how male artists will talk about like, yeah, I go to this club, I'll walk in like 7 women deep and I leave like 20 women deep and stuff. And it's like, that's not realistic. And so the stuff that mainstream women rap about, I don't feel like is realistic either. So like, I like how she talks about things that at least are realistic to me. And yeah, oh no, I guess I should go into like what I mean. Like she met someone at the bar and she's talking about just the conversation with him and just talking game. It's just like an authentic, cool conversation. And like, I like how she draws in like, oh, let me get you this drink. I forget the line that she said, but it was just super clever and slipped in there. Yeah. And like the wordplay and then she brings up how like, yeah, like bringing up conversations like, what do you think about Illmatic and Reasonable Doubt?
Yeah.
And it's like, that's dope. Like she's obviously trying to get on this dude's level.
She seems like a guy's girl. You know what I mean? She spent a lot of time hanging out with guys and she's comfortable with partaking in guys' humor or what guys like to talk about, like a Reasonable Doubt and Illmatic argument. Where most girls don't even know what those albums are.
But that's where I'm like, I want it to not be masculine and feminine. Like this is hip hop. And she's just like, I love hip hop. So,
but she knows most guys that she's approaching are going to be into that.
Right. And that I agree with that. That like probably most women won't be having those types of conversations, especially in depth.
Right.
About that.
And she's being forward for she's breaking down the female stereotypes of I need to stand back and let the guy come to me. She's not holding back. She's
approaching them.
But then she later on the album, she points out that may not be the best way for her to approach men, and she attracts men that she shouldn't be in relationships with. But in this song, it's a good storytelling song, and she does a great job of putting you in that environment, putting you in the bar with her.
Yeah, well said. Like I see myself like watching it. I feel like I'm watching the music video, and I don't know if there is. I don't think there is one for this song. But I feel like I'm watching it.
Right.
And so but she basically says I'm not.
It's cool. It's definitely a different female rap song that you would normally get. She's being vulnerable and letting you in on her process of approaching a guy that she is attracted to.
Right.
Because right now, if Cardi B or Megan Thee Stallion or Nicki Minaj were to make a song with this subject, it would be the guy came to me and he loved my WAP. You know what I mean? It would be them coming to her and giving her everything she wants and needs, and then she throws him by the wayside when she's done with it.
But this one is about, which is realistic to me, is like I don't know. Usually when you approach someone, there is some type of intent. But I mean, to drop this much energy into doing it obviously shows like, no, this is someone that like seems cool. I'm gonna give it a shot.
Yeah, she's being forward at the same time. She's putting herself out there to be let down or to be shut down. She's like, fuck it, this is who I am. I like arguing about Reasonable Doubt Nomadic. You know what I mean? That's who she is.
Yeah, it's definitely like a lot of confidence that is bled out there. And so she paints this like, I'm not your average girl, things like that. But do you agree with that? By hearing this song, do you feel like, she's kind of doing it? I mean, I guess you already said that, but yeah, I mean, I like her. I wrote down like, she's someone that I could chill with. Like, I feel like I would love to have a conversation with her.
Right. That's what I'm saying. She's a guy's girl. She'll hang out with a group of guys and she can hang. So then after that, we go into Super Love, produced by Ninth Wonder.
And I think this may be the song that you were kind of talking about, because in this track, she's talking about her hesitancy to fall in love with this particular person. And, he's kind of, it's almost like the other side of the coin, where this dude, he's saying all the right things, but like she's going in skeptical. She doesn't want to, it's like, I've been here before. I don't want to get hurt again.
Right. Yeah, she has her guard up a bit. She also references, you mentioned this already, that this was going to come up. She references, drinking. She references a lot throughout this album, and you can tell she's writing about it because she knows she has an issue with it, and she's putting it out there like that. But yeah, I think it's a really dope song. I love the beat.
I love the lyrics. Never been one to be wooed easy. I bruise easy, and that's definitely that. You can get the feel like, oh, okay, you've been down this road before,
right? And she has a lot of experience with men and being in shitty relationships, so she knows at this point, what to look out for.
And it's a build. It's like a transition. It's kind of a build up. So like the first one, like she sees this dude, they're having good conversation. You get the skeptical. The second verse, she's like, okay, like I've been talking long enough. I'm starting to see potential. Like maybe I do want to pursue this, but then still having, still being hesitant. But then by the third verse, she walks away from it. Like she's like, okay, this is cool, but I'm actually going to keep myself safe and walk away from this.
Yeah.
But it was because she was saying like dude's charisma gives her the flutters to the where she's like feels incapacitated, and I feel like she's feeling a sense of losing power, and it's like, all right, this is not going in a good direction. I've been here before. Right. I'm out. I gotta go. But she later on in another song, it's like I can't always give into that. I have to give it a try. But we'll talk about that in a little bit. Yeah.
One last thing I want to say about the song: she's really funny and clever with her rhymes. I love these lines. She says, I like you too, like to invite you to a party in my pants. Okay, that was just rude. Let's dance. And I just think that's a really funny thing to say, because usually it's men that say that to women.
Yeah.
I'm going to invite you to the party in my pants. Like it's a bro.
Anchorman.
Yeah, asshole thing to say. But she says it in a funny way. I could totally see her saying this to a guy because she knows guys' humor, saying this in a funny way and the guy totally being into it. and laughing.
I think it'd be. I mean, if it were me, I'd be thrown off. Like, whoa, what?
But I think it would be in the way that she says it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
She says, that was just rude. Sorry, let's dance.
No,
you know
that's what I'm
mean?
saying. Like, I imagine her saying it to me and me thrown off, but then like it's funny though. Like, whoa, I totally wasn't.
Yeah.
I wasn't expecting that.
She's like, I know that was rude. Let's just dance.
Yeah.
You know? It's her icebreaker. You know what I mean? She's saying a joke.
Yeah.
She's flipping the joke as an icebreaker. I just thought that was funny.
Yeah, you do get a lot of personality throughout a lot of the album, and it like I said, you know, in the last track, I'm like, yeah, I would want to hang out with her, like even if it didn't work and we were like on a friend level, like that'd be really cool. But doing going into whatever, and kind of another love song, right? Like she is. It is kind of like going in from what we were just talking about of, you know, person that she's close friends with and is beginning to catch feelings for.
Exactly.
And playing hard to get, and also trying to keep distance because she values. I like how she talks about. It's like she's thinking of the future of like, I would have to work towards the wedding ring, but there's a lot of stuff that ups and downs are going to happen in between that. And the goal being the wedding ring versus just the friendship. And I think that one is more important and not trying to do.
Yeah, it's a cool song. I really enjoyed this song. First of all, I love the beat. But it's
very mellow.
Yeah, it's chilled. It really lets her lyrics come through. But I just love. It's a different type of song. You don't normally get songs like this. And I love her storytelling. I love her explaining that she's become friends with this guy and she really cherishes her friendship. So that kind of scares her from taking it further. I don't want to ruin the friendship that we have, but I have these feelings for him. And she's trying to grapple with what to do, how to move forward. And they end up hooking up and being together, and she's happy and she got what she wanted. And you know, it kind of makes you wonder, okay, what's going to happen next? How does it
work out? Because you laid out all these legit concerns. So, like, how does it work out in the end? If it's Chris Quell, right? If it's that's the name of the person that she got engaged to.
Oh,
right?
Quelle Chris?
Quelle Chris, my bad. If it's him, we know it worked out.
Right.
But you know,
this is a long time ago.
It is. So I was saying, like, if it's him, it works out. But if not, like, we don't know who that. You know, we want to know what happened. But it was kind of cool because going back to the last track, she walked away because of all these things, and then immediately in the next track, you know, you can imagine however much time passed, whether if it's with that person or a newer person, it's like, okay, I'm going in with everything that happened in the last track. I still don't want this to happen, but one thing leads to another, and then it's happening. It's like, you know, okay, this is cool. I'm all right with that. So it's kind of like taking that risk and then it pays off. And I like that.
Yeah, I love that song. It was super good.
Yeah, it was a cool track. And then we have Give It Up.
Give It Up.
Okay.
She's talking her shit. That's what I got. She's lots of punchlines, letting everyone know how dope she is.
Run through your hood with her middle finger up.
Yeah, she wants respect. Yeah, it's a cool song. I do feel as if it's one of those filler tracks. You know, it's a hip hop track, but it's just thrown in there.
Yeah, there's just like, you know, we're talking 3 verses, and I think I picked, you know, if I'm going through all 3, there's like a couple lines in each one that I'm like, okay, I can pull this together. Obviously from the chorus, I always revert back to the chorus if I'm thrown off from the verses. In the first verse, I did like the dichotomy that she's talking about between like the left wing and the right wing, and how, you know, basically being this this angel, and like, oh, my left wing got fucked here, my right wing got torched by the sun, But it was, I took it, I think I read later on, it's a play on Icarus, who in Greek mythology, who had created wax rings, and he flew too close to the sun after being told not to. The wings melted and he crashed into his death. But in her verse, she's talking about how it burned, and then, but it's almost like she learned her lesson from being touched by the sun and let it enlighten her, which is a play on words. There's so much play on words in just even the first couple lines that I was like, okay, that's cool. But then it gets to be too much filler. And I already don't like when things are too dense to where I'm like Shabazz Palaces. I'm like, all right, like I don't want to have to pull out like libraries and thesauruses to like know what you're talking about. But like here, when you're even trying to do that, it's like I don't think this is leading anywhere.
Right.
And I got that.
Yeah, that's why I said, she's talking her shit. So the next song goes into The Wall, which goes back into her talking about drinking and her insecurities and a little bit more heavier topics. And this one definitely gave me Slim Shady vibes again. Just the sound of it, the crazy lyricism, the beat. Definitely on that wavelength. Not saying that she's biting him or anything, but she's doing her own version of it. But yeah, it's her opening up about drinking and how it's a vice for her, and she's an alcoholic, and she also feels like the odd one out. She makes a reference to you'll never know if she's telling a story of this is real. So
To try to fit in.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, she says she's not an actor. She's not acting it, but she says, she is creating a story, and you don't know if this is really about her, if she's just taking certain elements from her life and applying it here. She leaves that up to the listener.
Yeah, I mean, like you said, you covered it. Like, it just talks about her struggles with paranoia and alcoholism. And, like, she really doesn't... In her music, she comes off as really vulnerable. But, like, it sounds like you have to be invited in. Like, she's only going to give you as much as she wants to give you. Like, she's in control. Yeah. And so I thought that was pretty cool. And I think kind of... realistic in terms of someone that's dealing with a bunch of stuff. They're not just going to be like, "Hey, Matt, I'm dealing with problems." Right. She has a. Oh, I almost said she has a wall up. The wall. So
and that's why it's called The Wall.
And The Wall. And so you kind of have to really work to. I don't know. She gets to decide. She's in the driver's seat. So I thought that was. It's a dope and deep track. And I like it.
Yeah, I think this song fits really well into this album with a lot of the songs, and there's a few songs here and there that don't quite fit.
What did you think of Before the Spot skit?
I thought it was funny. I was laughing.
No, I didn't laugh, but I was just like, it sounds like trying to get into a club and waiting and like someone's popping off and it's like, yo, shut up. I don't know. It's entertaining. Like, I'm not gonna say it shouldn't be there, but I'm
not quite sure what the connection is with the album as a whole. Maybe it's just one of her experiences during the week. She goes to a club.
Yeah,
it's just part of it.
You Don't Want It, kind of going back into talking shit. That's actually all that I put for that song. Yeah, talking shit.
She's not holding back on this. Like, she says just whatever is on her mind. She'll put any kind of crazy lyrics together. Which I like. I like this song. I thought it was dope. The beat is hard. It's very, like I said before, it's very 2004.
Man, I don't even know if I'm going to listen to this in 2004, though. Like, it is... No, it's cool. But, no, okay, I like it.
It's a dope beat. I like it. Because it reminds me of that time. You know what I mean? It brings me back to that time. And I like that.
Yeah. It just doesn't... Yeah, it's in 2004. Maybe it's because I'm listening to it with a 2020 mindset. I'm like, eh.
Well, yeah, then we would have to do that for every album before today.
No, I know. I mean? They're my thoughts, man. Yeah. But yeah, it's a cool track. I do like it. Watch Me, and it kind of like goes... I like how there's a lot of tracks here and there that talk about her own personal life. And so, she's talking here about how her opens up with saying her mom raised her to be a strong and independent person. She takes shots at the industry. Well, she does throughout the album, but like in here, she says like, oh, they're just mad that like they can't control me. Because you get a lot of sense of like, independence and power and strength in her lyrics.
With what you're saying, she says, the mixed chick with equivalent of a sulfuric spit, the hung jury split the tongue's fury is guilty, but I'm just too cute to be considered this filthy. Industry can't milk me. They mad that they ain't built me.
A like, man, we can't even take advantage of that.
Yeah.
Like, she's
Those
doing
are
her own thing.
dope ass lines.
Yeah. No, she's a wordsmith. There was a line where she says that it kind of watered down the importance of school. And she said, like, she use it as a tool to expand her vocabulary.
Right. That's how she viewed school. Okay, if I'm going to be here, I'm going to use it to my advantage of what I want to get out of it.
On the fly, can you give me some thoughts on that?
If it's public school, I think that's dope. I think that's a really great way for a young person to look at it. Not as, oh, I have to be here and this is what my parents want me to do, or this is what everyone tells me I need to do. Fine. If you want me here, I'm going to take what I want out of it and use it to build myself up in the way I want to. So she's almost taking control of the mandatory attendance at school.
I mean, I think of, I really liked that line just because I think about, I don't want to say school. I would never argue that school is useless. I think continued education is what you make of it. I don't feel like it's something that people need to feel like they have to do in order to be successful.
Right.
You don't have to do that. But as I look back into like middle school, I think that it's more important than I'll ever recognize. But we're social beings. And one of the biggest things we get out of school is the socialization aspect of having conversations with different people and, doing that.
Interacting with people. And
all that. And I think when she said that, I was like, yeah, I can see that mindset. And when you were saying, that's probably how a younger person is going to feel because they're just like, I'm sitting here wasting my time. Yeah. That's probably how she felt.
Most kids aren't going to think like that.
No.
Oh, I'm here. I'm going to just expand my vocabulary so I can become a better lyricist.
But the problem, though, what I'm getting at is that there's a lot of kids, especially the ones that don't do well in school, to where they're just like, this is a waste of my time. And some people may argue like, oh, they need to put some effort in and take some initiative and do better. But like, if you're not good at something, you're not going to want to do it. So I can't speak for how well she did in school, but I feel like it relates to, I didn't do well in school. So I feel like it can relate to those that are just like, yeah, all I did was expand my vocabulary. I just failed all the time. Like I think of 5th grade, I did really shitty in 5th grade. Yeah. And it's like, taking from her, it's like it expanded my vocabulary. I did great, right. But like...
Yeah, I think you mentioned it already. It's your mindset. If you go into continued education with the right mindset, you can use it to your advantage. If you're going just to go because your parents are making you go or society's making you go, you're not going to get everything you can out of it. But with what she's pointing out, I just went to expand my vocabulary. You could take that concept and apply it in a lot of different areas with school.
That's just one aspect.
I went to improve my math skills so I could be good at finance. You know what I mean? You can use it to develop in any way you can. If you have that mindset.
I agree with that. It's just I like her taking, because obviously she's a hip hop artist and wordplay is important for her. So she's just taking, I was also really good at English. It was my best subject. And so like what I'm getting from you saying is like, if someone really good at math is like, okay, cool. Like I improved my math skills. It's the only subject that I cared about, whatever else. Someone's pulling from history. She's pulling from English and improved my vocab. Cool. Whatever. Right. But yeah, I agree with all that. But it just, that lyric made me really think about it, whether if you didn't do well in school and you're like looking for like the one silver lining, or if you're just kind of being sarcastic about it and being like, yeah, fuck school. I guess I learned vocabulary, but so I liked it both ways. P.S.
Postscript.
Good. Do you know what CC stands for?
Something copy.
Carbon copy.
Carbon copy. You know what BC stands for?
Damn it, something carbon copy.
No, blind copy. Blind carbon copy, yeah, BCC.
Yeah, I forgot what the B stands. And I know blind because I do those.
Come on, bro.
It was funny. The first time I ever did a BCC, I was like, that's cool. So, like, no one knows that this person's shady. There. Yeah, it's pretty sketch. But, like, for our work, if you can't spread, like, someone's email or whatever, so that's when you blind CC. Anyways, postscript, PS. I like this track.
Yeah, I really did too. It's a dope song, dope concept. I love that every verse is a letter to a different loved one. It's definitely another one of those tracks where she's opening up about her personal life, and she's being vulnerable and looking at herself and realizing where she went wrong and owning up.
Yeah, this is growth. This is maturity.
Yeah.
This is stuff that you want to see from people that you're close with as you grow older with them, whether if you do or do not. In this track, she's even reaching out to people that she hasn't talked to in a long ass time. So,
And she actually sent the letters. This wasn't just a song. I think she actually sent letters to those people.
yeah, and I think in the second verse, the person mentioned she had rapped about in her previous album. She says in track number 8, I already reached out to you. But the first, there's 3 verses. The first one is her friend Vicky. And so her and Vicky, they were both in relationships at the time. Their boyfriends were best friends. Jean broke up with her dude. And then down the line, Jean tried to hook up with Vicky's dude.
Oh, she did.
And she did.
Yeah.
She was successful. And she was saying, like, I did it just to do it. Like, I was being an asshole. And so, like, I'm looking back and, like, that wasn't worth it. It ruined our friendship, and I'm really sorry about it. The second verse talks about, a dude that she was dating and she cheated on him. And, she's like, you've probably moved on. You have a wife and kids and you're good, but I just need to get this off my chest.
Yeah.
The third verse was super dope.
Yeah.
Third verse was dope. And the third verse is actually to herself.
From the future.
From the future. Yeah, in retrospect and stuff. And like just saying like, I tried to kill your ass a few times and I'm not I wasn't proud of myself and
she's also congratulating her past self on making it,
persevering through and doing it. And
look at all your accomplishments that you have now, kind of manifesting where she would be at. And she, recognizes that she was hurting herself in the past and that she was being very pessimistic in how she viewed herself. And at this point, she's gotten out of that. She's gone past that point in her life.
And I think it's cool. Have you ever written a letter or a note to yourself before?
Maybe as like a school assignment back in the day, elementary school, but I have not done that as an adult.
Have you done anything like written to yourself that you did a long time ago that you've seen recently?
No.
Oh. In my yearbooks, I always wrote to myself in that time. And it was kind of cool because like in my senior year, I wrote like, hey man, you did it. You've been through a lot, but you're finally here. And it's just kind of cool to read it, 13, 14 years later.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
To see like what's still relevant. But yeah, it's kind of like, man, I was smart back then. Like, I didn't apply myself, but there was some deep shit. There was one other thing I wanted to say about that, and I might have to come back to that. But yeah, I really like that track. Oh, that's what I was gonna say. So for work, we do ACT exercises with kids. ACT is an acronym for Acceptance and Commitment Therapy. So it's basically just like a bunch of just kind of these things that you can work through, these social skills and things like that. And one of the ones talks about, kind of asking if you're talking shit to a friend or anything else, or if you're being rude to someone, or just even in forgiving someone, it asks like, would you talk to yourself that way? Kind of like basically saying like you have to forgive yourself and be. Oh, sorry, my bad. It's saying would you if a friend is going through something or if they're going through a hard time, would you talk to that friend about their problems the way you talk to yourself? And the way you talk to yourself is in it's aimed at those that are beating themselves up over something. So if Matt's going through his glasses break and he's very upset about it, like, hey man, it's okay, like we'll take a look at your insurance, like maybe we can super glue them or we'll do whatever, this and that. It's like obviously I'm going at a caring approach and being like, yeah man, we'll work through this. Where there's people that like beat the shit out of themselves who are like, yeah man, I'm a piece of shit, like I'm super dumb, why the fuck did I do that? And it kind of is like, would you talk to yourself, would you talk to a friend the way that you talk to yourself? And it's like, No, I wouldn't. I wouldn't tell Matt that he's a dumb fuck for dropping his glasses and stepping on them.
Right.
I would never say that.
So don't say that about yourself.
So don't say it about yourself. So I like how in this she is kind of acknowledging that and like, hey, I'm really sorry for everything that I put you through, but I'm really glad that you persevered and stuck with it, and look where we are today. I'm proud of you.
Yeah.
So
that's a
I
great
like.
point.
Yeah. So I like that.
Yeah. Self-reflection is always a good thing.
Oh, and by the way, that song was the end of the week, and that's where I'm like, okay, but we still have 2 more tracks.
Yeah.
So
Well, the last one, Don't Rush Me, is technically a bonus track.
true. Yeah.
So now we get Fire Blazer. Yeah, it's just a track. Jean talking her shit. She's spitting really dope lines. I felt at this point in the album, there's just a bit too many rap tracks where she's just going in, which is dope. And I don't want to knock her for that because it's great rapping. But after you have these great, personal songs like PS and The Wall and whatever, you have these deep songs that have to do with her personal life, and then you go into her just talking shit and rapping. It takes you out of that a little bit. And maybe these songs would have fit better on a mixtape or something. Make a mixtape of just your rapping tracks and then save all the personal concept songs for an album. I felt like, to me at this point, like you said, that she's barring you to death. And at this point, you're almost like you're getting run down with all the bars. And you can't keep up.
Do you think maybe it's that, and this would have to question other types of listeners, but like if we're here trying to decipher lyrics, we're having a hard time because we're not finding a point to it. But if someone else is like just listening to it, like, yeah, all these words thrown together, it sounds great, but I don't really care about the content.
I that's how I feel. I like listening to it. I like bars. Don't get me, some of my favorite rappers are just bar rappers, like Crooked Eye and Royce and Elzai and Black Thought. They'll bar you to death. But I don't know. I just, when you have songs like PS and, her other really personal songs, and then you go into just barring me, I get taken out of the concept of the album.
I think I'm agreeing with you on a couple different levels. So like, I agree that it doesn't fit what she's adding on, because it's like you have this throughout the album, as we were saying, like we're just taking out the meat and potatoes from the tracks, but for probably a good 25% of it, it's just like barring us, as Matt's saying, barring us to death. But then you end the album with 2 tracks that are just straight bars that don't really, for me at this point, not really going anywhere. I'm kind of like, okay, like I'm listening for something and I'm not getting it, but now you just like made a whole song about it, about nothing. So I don't know. I feel you on that. I don't want to make it seem like I'm not into it. I do like those songs. It's just, it's a lot to digest. I think it's a fair criticism.
Listening to it in one sitting.
Yeah, I think it's a fair criticism in the way that we're phrasing it is like, you had like a lot of good content throughout the album. And then when you start listening to these types of albums, I forget who it was, a couple pods ago, we're listening to something and it's like, it starts you off a certain way, kind of coasts you through. It's like an experience. And so this one could have ended at PS. But now we're the energy is kind of going in a different direction and outside of the album.
Yeah. Or it's just maybe our attention spans are a lot shorter nowadays than 2004.
That's fair. So,
because back then you had to buy the CD and you're listening to the whole CD. You're not making you are making mixtapes, but not as much. You're not making playlists.
Definitely, and that's all the music you're gonna get for a long time. So that's why
you buy a CD. If you're paying back then, you're probably paying $15-$16 for a CD. You're listening to it.
Yeah, you want to get your money's worth. So yeah, I mean, I think to kind of clarify, like it's like you said, it's not a bad thing. It just kind of moves the energy in a different direction. I would say.
Yeah.
I don't know, but then I get to Don't Rush Me, and I'm like, I like this one.
Yeah, I think it was a great way to finish the album with a Ninth Wonder beat. It's a super dope beat. she's spitting dope lyrics on this. She's being self-aware, and it's a cool way. She says, like the way I know that the smoke has kind of broken my health, like the way I know my flow don't make appropriate wealth. I can't change that. But funny, I'm saying that when it's money I'm aimed at. I give a fuck if you frame that or quote it. I meant what I said because I wrote it. Point noted. I know I'm overly sensitive when it comes to, well, just about everything.
And to build onto that, like maybe I'm liking this track as it fits in with the rest of the album, because then it's her describing herself about being hard-headed and sensitive, doesn't want to ask help for anybody, and she knows who she's destined to be, and she's taking.
She doesn't want to take help from anybody. She wants to do it her way.
Exactly.
She wants to make money, but she's not gonna sell herself, her body, or sell her imagery or whatever. Like, she's going to do it her way. She's going to spit her rhymes and get what she wants out of it.
And I like all that because, I know people like that. And so I just felt like it in building this like personality and this persona. Like, I feel like I don't feel like I know her, but I feel like I have an idea of how she could be. And I feel confident that if I ran into her, it would be pretty accurate. So I'm like, okay, that's pretty cool. And that's what I like in music and these artists is like, I like getting to know them through their music. And having listened to Eminem since, I was in 5th or 6th grade up till now, like, I feel like I know all about him. Not as, Right. So I like that. I like knowing the artists that I listen to.
Yeah, she's an open book for sure, which is great. That you always have to appreciate when an artist does that, because it is a leap of faith for them to put their lives out there like that.
She's an open book, and you look on the album cover, and she's
sitting on a pile of notebooks, writing.
So
yeah, So this was a dope album. I really enjoyed listening to it. I think, like you said, I think we both agree, if you cut out maybe 2 or 3 tracks from this, it's a super solid album. I don't know why. I know this album is highly respected, but it doesn't get that much praise. You don't hear a lot of people talking about Jean Grae.
You don't even hear people referencing. I don't even hear people referencing Jean Grae, and I'm kind of like, why not?
I think she was ahead of her time.
Yeah? You think that's the problem?
I think so. I think if she came out today, along with Rhapsody, she'd be a lot bigger.
Yeah. It is kind of, it makes me disappointed that she isn't as big as she should be.
Yeah.
Because I remember, when I first discovered it, I'm like, man, this is great. And it just asked that question of like, why isn't anyone else listening to this?
Right.
But then you can get, Yin Yang Twins to blow up. And you can get all these other people to kind of just blow up. And people with I feel that way with local music. You hear people all the time. If you go out, you're just like, this person's great.
Right.
But for whatever reason, they're never going to blow up. That's kind of felt like with Jean Grae.
Yeah, I agree. I definitely recommend you listen to her album with Cully Chris. It's a dope album. I'm going to listen to it again. But yeah, I hope she keeps doing music. I hope she does another solo album. Because she's amazing. She's a great lyricist. She's really talented, and I would definitely like to hear more from her.
I agree. That kind of touches on the album right there.
Yeah. So who would you play this for? Who are you gonna recommend this to?
I kind of fit it in that category of, you have like a party kind of thing, and there's not too many people there. It's just kind of this a kickback or something.
Yeah.
You just kind of have it on in the background. I'm not necessarily, I'm trying to think, like, would I listen to this on car trips? And it's like, not necessarily, but definitely it's kind of one of those things I think I'd have to be in the mood for.
Yeah.
And in small groups.
Right.
I don't know. I feel like this pressure, like if you're in a larger group, to play something more mainstream that is definitely acceptable.
Right. And this album from 2004 is not going to be that.
Yeah. And so that's where.
Yeah. For me, I'm recommending this album to someone who really wants to get into underground hip hop, or they're a hip hop head, and they don't know too many female MCs, and okay, you need to listen to Jean Grae because she's a dope lyricist and she makes dope songs and she spits real shit. And so, yeah, you need to know about Jean Grae if you're going to really get into hip hop.
I agree with all that. I think she would be someone I'd recommend for sure trying to get in. Because, I mean, when you think, like I was saying when we did Felt, you know, when people recommend underground hip hop artists, I want to say that it's, you know, Merce, Living Legends, Jurassic 5, whatever else. And Jean Grae could be in that discussion. I don't see why not.
Absolutely.
Listen to it.
Dope. Yeah, definitely go check out the album, Jean Grae, this week. It's on Spotify or Apple Music or Tidal. She's got some really dope other albums too. Evil Genius is cool. And her album with Cole Chris. So yeah, check those out. And thank you for listening to the Rap Thought Podcast with Matt and Brandon.
Hey, thanks.
And we'll catch you guys next week.
Next week, not this week.
Peace.